Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor, the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android, to recommend Spotify. Also, check out the Five Reasons YouTube channel for all your South Florida sports content. Also, Off the Floor, we're getting close to Media Day. It's going to be on the 29th. Make sure that you're subscribed before then, because we're going to have so much content there. And I can tell you, I'm not wasting it on Twitter anymore. We're putting it on Off the Floor. Use our Discord server. It's $2.99 per month. Link right here in the description, and you will bypass the Apple upcharge. Also, check out PrizePicks football season. Use that code 5. Get your $50 in free lineups. You know the deal already. FIVE. Get your 50 in free lineups, legal in the state of Florida, and follow our plays, because a lot of our guys have been doing really well lately. So check it out. It's PrizePicks. Use the code FIVE. And now, today's episode.
Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pit. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleeping pads or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the courts to the streets. Yeah, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Well. So our friends over at Dunk Central today had a report. I'm Ethan Skolnick, by the way. Greg Sylvander is with me. And check out all the recent episodes. Training camp previews, Alex and I did. Training camp is going to be starting likely the last Tuesday of September at FAU. So they're not going to the Bahamas this year. I wish they were. Unfortunately, it's just Boca, where I spent some of my formative years, which turned me into this. So I'll be up there. Brady and Alex will be up there as well. Long trip for Alex. Alex is right? Like, I mean, getting him
you think he'll make it on time?
No chance. Although I will say this, he beat me to the 1305 800 Pain Studios the other day. That's the first time he's ever beaten me anywhere. But he lives in Hialeah. That's the first time. But he lives in Hialeah, and those studios are in Doral, and I'm coming from Fort Lauderdale. And 826 is the highway to hell. It's a highway from hell, basically. So if you've lived in South Florida, you know that. It doesn't matter the time of day. So, but he did beat me there. But Boca, there's no chance he beats me there. There's no way. I've got a big head start.
You got a head start.
I do. But we'll be covering training camp up there, and check out our training camp episodes. Also, our State of the Heat episodes. I finished it with my word on the State of the Heat, which was uncomfortable. But one of the reasons they were uncomfortable last year was because Jimmy Butler made them uncomfortable. And I guess I just got a kick out of this, so we figured we would do an episode on it, which is he already unhappy? Like, is the honeymoon already over, or are we just, is this hope trafficking for drama? Is that what we're doing here?
Well, it looks like the comment or the report, excuse me, comes from Dalton Johnson, who does do the Warriors pre and post game live, if I'm looking at his profile correctly.
Okay, so he's legit. He's kind of like a Will Manso, sort of, right?
That's what that sounds like to me.
Right.
If those are indeed his true working credentials. Him saying that Jimmy basically went to the front office and said, "What's going on here? I want to know the plan." Part of this, Ethan, is that Golden State, with the Kuminga scenario, has been kind of all of their transactions are held up. Al Horford hasn't been signed. There's there's question marks about when that's going to get done because of Kuminga. This insinuates that Jimmy went and said, like, what's the plan here for me? And I said this to you pre-show. Jimmy got paid.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that the questions about what the plan is are very secondary. He knows that Steph himself and Draymond are going to need to lead that. And if they're going to get it done, it'll be with those guys as the primary players. I think it's fair to say. But Kuminga is an interesting option because he would there's questions on whether Kerr would trust him. And I've heard some of the numbers get thrown around where they really try to throw a team-friendly deal at him. So who knows if this is, and I would be remiss if I didn't say it. Kuminga's people could put this out there to try to put pressure on Golden State by saying Jimmy's asking what the hell's going on. So I just would caution everyone that I don't know that necessarily, at least from social media recently, it looks like Jimmy's having fun, not thinking about basketball. So I just don't know how much he's knocking on the door of Steve Kerr or of Mike Dunleavy and saying what the hell's going on.
The reason we're doing this episode, of course, is because there was a lot of stuff that leaked out over the last year that Jimmy was here about his unhappiness with the Heat front office in terms of not going out and getting the guy, right? Like, even though he would say publicly that I can handle it myself and all that, that behind the scenes he was frustrated. And I know there were some frustrations. I know that there, the Heat tried to sell him on the roster last year being better than the roster the year before. And I know that he and his agent didn't buy it. There were other things along those lines. Okay. But I guess why we're doing the episode is because I don't know that he's going to be happy there very long. And it's not just this report that came out, but if you look at the circumstances, and I know the money is the money. So he's happy with the money. If it was always just about the money, then he's happy because he got what the Heat ultimately, they didn't want to give him, at least not in that short of time frame, right? So he got his money, and so it's all good. And he's playing with Steph Curry. Life is good in that regard. But as far as them like trying to compete for a championship right now, like they made the move to try to compete, and it was him. It was him. Like they made the biggest.
He's asking what the plan is. They're like, "You're it.
You're it. You're the plan." Like I know Kuminga is part of the holdup here, but part of the reason that the whole Kuminga thing is weird, other than the fact it doesn't seem that Kerr likes him very much, is that Kuminga and Jimmy, there were questions about whether the two of them can play together because they play a kind of a similar style, but Jimmy's basketball IQ is 100 times higher. So there were issues there. Now, when Steph got hurt in the playoffs last year, Kuminga stepped up his scoring because they really didn't have anywhere else to go with it. But the defensive lapses and other things, which is why I was not a big fan of the Heat trading for Kuminga, even though he's young and has upside. There's some warning signs there. But it does seem like Kuminga's agent has been trying to stir things up all the time because I told everybody the Heat weren't really in on Kuminga the way that everybody thought they were because that was coming from other sources. So this could be coming from Kuminga's agent or people or whatever trying to force the Warriors to move. We know how that works. But I do think some of the other reports that have come out lately are probably not music to Jimmy's ears as far as trying to get back to the finals, which I know he cares about, maybe not as much as the money, but he does care about winning. He does care about being on that stage. And not only is there this where it's like, okay, they haven't done anything the whole offseason. They're the only team in the league
that hasn't like finalized a move or something like that.
I mean, the Horford thing, I thought the Horford deal was done, but it's,
I know.
Right? So they haven't done, they're the only one of 30 teams that hasn't done anything, whereas the Heat were killed for running it back every year. And this is the ultimate run it back. Like, that's all the Warriors are doing. They made the trade for Jimmy, and they're running it back. They haven't decided, apparently, on Kuminga. They don't want to pay him a lot of money, but they don't want to trade him for nothing. He doesn't want to be there with Kerr. But there was the other report that came out, and I wish I knew if it was an Amick or a Stein or someone that credible, or if it was somebody else. But there was a report that the Warriors are trying, and NBA Central tweeted this one out also. They aggregated this one also a few days ago, that they are trying to get in the mix for Giannis or
2027 free agency.
Right, or Jokic, right?
Yep.
Well, the reason that they would have that money in 2027 is because Jimmy Butler comes off the books.
Yep. Well, here's the other thing that if Jimmy's asking what the plan is, he may want to be careful when he asks that question, because I think that they've probably called the Lakers more than once and said, hey, you willing to swap Jimmy for LeBron? Because I think LeBron and Steph would like to finish their careers together. And that might be a dirty little secret that Golden State wouldn't want Jimmy to know. I'm completely speculating there, but I have a suspicion that may be one of the rare scenarios that LeBron would waive his no trade clause. Obviously, his son would have to come with him. That's not going to happen. I'm just saying that I think that the Warriors are they're going to keep their eyes open for if a bigger star becomes available, because I do think they owe it to Steph, and they will listen to Steph of trying to maximize these last years. And I think Jimmy was a big piece of that, but we all know that there was other player that they were specifically looking at that they thought could fit that in an even more elevated way than Jimmy. And that was Kevin Durant.
Right.
And that didn't come to fruition. So, yeah, it's a weird scenario, but ultimately, like I said, at this point in the summer, I don't think Jimmy's asking roster questions yet.
Probably not, but it's fun to think about. And it's fun to think about in part because, like you said, Jimmy was not their first choice, right? Yeah. He was not. I mean, their first choice was Durant. The Heat found, look, the whole idea was to flip Jimmy for Durant. That was what they were going to do. And then the Heat tried to get in on Durant, and the Heat tried to get in on Durant afterwards. But I think as you look at the situation right now, you're like, look, I understand the frustrations of Jimmy's camp and everything for not like getting him the other star here, but he's got the other star now. It's Steph.
Yeah, he's got Steph Curry.
Right. Like, so if there is any truth to this, like, what are you doing? Like, and he's also got Draymond, who he's developed this relationship with, and Draymond, obviously, the idea again is for the three of them to finish together.
So they get in a fight. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, all of it is fun to watch. I mean, they're an interesting team to watch, but here's the other part of it. They're in the West. They're not coming out of the West. Yeah. They're not coming out of the West. Like,
they would need everything to go perfect and health be on their side in a way that I don't think that you could realistically predict.
I mean, OKC and Denver right now on paper, and Houston. OKC,
a couple
Denver, and Houston.
Teams that you could create a path. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have three guys, Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy, stay very, very healthy at the right times of the season and get contributions from some of these role guys that regressed for Golden State last year, like Pods, who regressed just the same as Hawkins did, and Moody, and some of these other guys. They brought back the same group. I mean, they are literally running it back, but Jimmy is part of the running it back again because he was the big acquisition. They're
going to need Al Horford to play really well too, who they haven't even signed yet.
No, they haven't even signed. And I like that acquisition for them. I actually think he'd give them a little something. I mean, but the funny thing is, what, Jimmy going to do this to him on the court while in practice?
He's probably going to the front office and saying, what the hell's the plan? I'm still not signed, and it's the end of September.
Can you trade this Butler guy too and go get LeBron? Anyway, on the other side of this, I want to ask you a question. We'll close it here. It's just a fun little episode, but I saw it today and it did make some Heat fans chuckle because you lived through this all of last year, and Jimmy's honeymoon tends to last a little longer than a few months. I mean, you usually get into the second year before it starts to sour. Anyway, you don't want to sour you. Is you think you're getting money and it's not really money from somebody that you know, or your money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. That's why you need to download CASHAPP. Okay, so download CASHAPP. We're also going to tell you how to get the CASHAPP card, but CASHAPP protects you. That's the single biggest thing. It protects you from all these scams. When you get the CASHAPP card, not only do you get a ton of perks and benefits like exclusive early access to nationwide concert pre-sales or discounts on popular brands, but you also have the extra security with the power to instantly lock or unlock your card right from your phone in one app. So get the CASHAPP card. Here's what you got to do. Spend with peace of mind today. Order a CASHAPP card in the app or at cash.app/card. But the first thing you need to do is actually download CASHAPP. So do that. Use our exclusive referral code. It's on the floor. Put that in your profile, on the floor. Send $5 to me or some other friend within 14 days, and you get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's CASHAPP. CASHAPP is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by CASHAPP's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Instant discounts provided by CASHAPP, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to get you on the record here. Okay, we'll close this thing out. So this season, we know that the Heat are in a bit of a transition period. I think both you and I have them projected somewhere between 6 and 8 in the East, maybe 6 and 9. See how things play out. Again, trying to pivot, develop the young players, find a way to get another star. Okay, Golden State's going for a title that we don't think they're going to get. So let's ignore this season. 2 seasons out. So let's go to the 26-27 season. Who's in better position to compete for a title at that point? Jimmy Butler or the Heat?
Ooh, that's interesting. If he's still playing with Steph Curry, you just can't ignore that. And I have to admit that, like, for all players that have never played for the Heat, Steph Curry is one of my all-time favorites. So I am
Probably my
biased in
all-time
that
favorite,
regard.
to be honest. Yes.
So like, as long as he's playing and if Jimmy is there, which I don't know that would take place for the time period you're referencing, go forward. I like the idea of investing in the right young guys in Miami, having Bam as maybe the biggest contract on your books and seeing what that looks like in the future. I know that would require sacrifices in other ways. If that was what the Heat were going to go forward with, I would like my chances with what Miami would come out of. Just the Golden State, when Steph Curry does finally retire, and I think that it could also coincide with Draymond stepping away, and Jimmy too, really. You don't have Steph Curry step away and you just keep plugging along. Like, to me, I don't think that that's going to happen. Every once in a while, there's a Spurs-like organization that bridges those gaps. But for the most part, when you have a real great one, you suffer a couple lean years. So that's where I think that if Miami keeps the decks clear and can get one of these guys that Bam has, develop relationships with, or one of the young guys that maybe wants to find a home in Miami, like that's probably more appealing than what Golden State will have to offer, because they also will have paid historic luxury tax numbers and probably look to go lean from a salary perspective to recoup some of that.
Yeah, I agree with all that. They're not going to be able to replace Steph the year after that. The question is whether he gets to that year still playing at this high a level, because he's already kind of defying expectations in terms of what you do at his age. And I know he's a shooter. It makes it a little bit different. He's harder to play defensively now than he was before in terms of, his quickness on that end. He was never a great defender, but he's worse now than he was. And it makes it harder to win too. I mean, people don't talk about that, but even if you have a great player who's still great on one end, as he deteriorates a little on the other end and he's playing 35 minutes still, that's somebody that you can exploit. I just cannot see how they're going to compete for anything 2 years out. I think it's going to be hard enough this year. 2 years out with those kind of contracts on the books at those ages. Yeah. I am going to roll the dice and say that in the not this next season, I do think Golden State will be better than the Heat this year. I'm going to give everybody that. I think 2 years out, the Heat will be better positioned. I think Jimmy is going to end up being part of a teardown. I think that's where this is headed. Now, I know that owner likes to spend. I get it. It's a big market. It's a big arena, even though it doesn't have anywhere near the noise that Oracle used to have. But I think he's going to be part of a teardown. I don't think his last year is going to be fun.
To anchor, what I mean? Like, they don't have that next guy in line. Like the Spurs had Duncan to usher in a new era, and then obviously
because they tanked into it, right? Because they tanked into that too. Yeah,
they don't have that in Golden State yet. Anymore.
No, and it's going to be hard to get it. So again, we'll see how Jimmy does this year. I thought in the playoffs last season, he showed you he could still be that guy 1 out of every 3 nights. Mm-hmm. And the Heat were not in position to have that guy 1 out of every 3 nights, and especially if he was unhappy, you weren't even going to get him 1 out of 3 nights. The split ended up in the long run. We're going to look back at it. The way it went down was ugly. It made both sides look bad, but I thought it made Jimmy look worse. It was time. Like, Jimmy wasn't carrying anything at this point. Like, we can argue about what should have been done during his tenure. Yes, I get it. Okay. Whether being more aggressive or all that. But as far as now, they would be in much worse position right now. And I think the ESPN guys hit on it. If Jimmy was still on the roster making that kind of money.
Agree.
The whole training camp this year would have been how many games are you going to play? Mm-hmm.
But he would have just made a mockery of all that. I don't want to trash Jimmy too much, but
no,
it got weird towards the end to the point that, like, how else can you envision that go forward?
Right. I asked him how many games he was going to play a couple of seasons when we were in the Bahamas, and he said 10. It looked right at me. Anyway. I mean, I'll miss him because he was interesting. You know what I mean? Like this team is they've got a lot of nice guys.
They got to prove they're interesting.
They got a lot of nice guys. They got to prove they're interesting. The only one that really says anything is Jovic, which is like, please extend Nico and never tame him. I like that he's like Dragic. He just says whatever comes to mind. All right, Greg, appreciate it. Thank you. Sponsors, check these out. Of course, Cash App, use the code on the floor. Off the Floor is our Discord server, and PrizePicks, use the code 5, F-I-V.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reason Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad. Thank you for